The new channel. The new channel. Hashtag TNC Now.
The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following shows are those of the host, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the new channel. Our passion transforms an entire community that sees all things new. I am Gianne Janiola, streaming live from the city of Pines. Headlining today is the tipping point of the exodus of nurses in the Philippines. Join me this afternoon for the Season 1, Episode 2 of the Frontline, only here on TNC. Ayan, at magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. To all our viewers, magandang hapon po. Maptong Jun Agos, sigata Jun Amin, na imbag nga malam tayo amin. Mayap agat napon kay kayo. And welcome to the first season, episode 2 of The Frontline. Of course, brace yourselves for a new season full of information that exposes, moves to explain, and questions the changes in our world, featuring the freshest, most recent developments in healthcare, frontliners in their essential services, exploring the critical and most controversial topics of our times, from health, business entrepreneur, and various social issues of the times. But of course, before we indulge in all things new, let's watch this short tribute to all our frontliners who went out of their way to extend assistance to the recent Great Luzon earthquake of 2022.
Nangarap noon, bayani ngayon, hindi pa papigil, lakas ng loob sa bawat hakbang, bawat desisyon, nakita ang kapit sa Panginoon. Sana'y malawang nakikita ko mga pawis at luha na inalay mo, at sa iyong paghihirap dumaloy sa'yo ang pag-asa. Salamat ng dahil sa'yo.
Ayun naman. At maraming salamat po ulit sa ating mga frontliners na tumulong po sa mga nasalanta ng most recent Great Luzon earthquake noong July 2022. And of course, moving forward, we call our frontliners our heroes, but really, are we giving them enough so we could name them the heroes of this particular pandemic or of our healthcare system? While it's not new for nurses in the Philippines opting to go abroad in search of better opportunities, this time the wave of resignations comes just as the country is anticipating another surge in COVID-19 infections, and not to mention the increasing um, cases of dengue virus and leptospirosis in Central Luzon. Amid regular work and experiencing burnout from their shifts due to the pandemic, some nurses are taking advantage of the reopening of economies abroad and laxing of border restrictions to look for employment. Dr. Anthony Lichon, former advisor to the country's pandemic task force, mentioned that healthcare providers, they are overworked, they are burned out, but less appreciated. And of course, they seem undervalued, and their discrepancy between the payments of private hospitals and the public hospitals are very large. By far, in some provinces, some nurses are still having a salary of 8,000 pesos, in some 5,000 pesos. He said nurses from private hospitals would rather or transfer and work for government hospitals instead, or they end up in other industries before taking up mandatory exams for the country they will be migrating to. Meanwhile, nurses working for public hospitals are at salary grade 15. That is about 35,000 monthly. But according to FNU, the Filipino Nurses United, National President Maristela Presto Abenujar said that the implementation also varies. Now, citing data from the Department of Health, Presta Benahar noted that the total number of nurses in both public and private sectors as of December of last year stood at 172,000. But based on the projection, the ideal projection of healthcare versus the population, we should have at least 300,000 nurses available for the Philippines alone. So out of the 10 registered nurses, 2 are working either in a public or private hospital, which is 19% of the total registered nurses, and 35%, that is 4 out of 10, registered nurses in the Philippines have opted to migrate overseas to work abroad instead. And we are currently suffering from chronic understaffing. Some 32% of registered nurses are not practicing either because they do not have jobs or they may be underemployed. They have vested into other interests other than the profession. With all these concerns surrounding us, the Frontline this afternoon has been blessed, of course, with a very special guest this afternoon to further dive into the exodus of our nurses. But before we give a thrilling introduction to our guest, let us first see the corporate video of none other than the Philippine National Association of Nurses.
The Philippine Nurses Association has been in the service of Filipino nurses for almost a century now, providing a voice for the Philippine nursing sector. Founded as the Filipino Nurses Association, September 2, 1922, by a group of nurses led by Anastasia Hirontupas, the PNA is the lead organization that advances the welfare and development of globally competitive Filipino nurses. Guided by the core values of love of God and country, caring, quality and excellence, integrity and collaboration, the PNA aims to promote the holistic welfare of Filipino nurses wherever they are. With the interest of nurses in mind, the PNA provides an avenue for the discussion of significant professional issues impacting the work and life of nurses. The PNA believes that having adequate nurse-to-patient ratios, appropriate shift work of nurses, just and commensurate compensation, security of work tenure, positive organizational climate, and increased reputation in the healthcare sector are priority professional issues needing action that redounds not just to nurses but to patient safety as well. The PNA works with all levels of government, with local, regional, and national government agencies, including Congress and judiciary, to advance nursing as a profession. The influence of PNA is essential for the passage of significant legislation that have impact to nurses, the nursing profession, and the patients they serve. The PNA strives to continually advance the science and practice of nursing. All year round, the PNA conducts continuing professional development seminars to support in building capacities of Filipino nurses. The Philippine Journal of Nursing, the official publication of PNA, now was Scopus Index, and Western Pacific Region Index Medicus, a reputable international journal, has a rich collection of peer-reviewed articles. In 2019, the Philippine Journal of Nursing was inducted in the Nursing Journal Hall of Fame of the International Academy of Nursing Editors. Evidence is needed for policy and practice changes. PNA conducts research on nurses' welfare, with the results informing policy and practice reforms. National conventions and international nursing conferences are held not only to gather nurses all over the Philippines, but to build a stronger community of nurses towards excellence and professionalism. The PNA is every nurse's home. With over 90 chapters in the Philippines and 15 chapters abroad, the PNA caters to every Filipino nurse, wherever they are in the world.
The PNA is the nurses' unified voice. The PNA stands out when our Filipino nurses are treated unjustly and represent them in their fight against any form of abuse and unfair treatment.
We can, and we will make nurses' voices even louder. Nurses will have more influence and bargaining ability and will less likely to be ignored. We will make sure that we will get represented in the highest levels of government and decision-making. With strong resolve and working together, nurses can make a difference. Visit our website at www.pna-ph.org and sign up as a member today. As a member, you are entitled to the following benefits:
Consultation on socio-economic welfare and political rights of nurses.
The PNA Legal Counsel is available for schedule of consultations and referral to technical legal advice on administrative and labor cases whenever necessary. The PNA members have the access to continuing professional development opportunities with discounts and PNA reading room materials and information,
as well as discounted rates in availing PNA dormitory. PNA members have access to the Philippine Journal of Nursing and mutual aid benefits.
PNA may give recommendations for local and international grants and postgraduate studies. Individually, nurses already make a difference to their patients' and clients' life.
Join PNA, and collectively, we will make a bigger impact for all nurses, their families, their patients and clients, and the society.
Together, we will raise the profile of Filipino nurses.
There you go. Maraming salamat for that. So, as you all know, to all our audience, please now welcome the President of the Philippine Nurses Association, Dean of the College of Nursing of MCU, Mr. Melvin Miranda.
Thank you very much for the welcome, Miss Gianne. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Ayan. And of course, napakaganda po ng corporate video of PNA. Halos lahat na po nga yata ng itatanong ko sa inyo nasagot na ng
Yes.
video. It's very nice. So, napakagandang malaman ang scope ng PNA. But what is PNA really? If you were to summarize it, ano nga ba ang PNA, sir?
Actually, Philippine Nurses Association, our mandate is the holistic welfare of our nurses and at the same time professional development. It is the recognition of the Filipino nurses in the national level and and in the global setting. So this the accredited professional organization of the Professional Regulation Commission, wherein we serve as the voices of the Filipino nurses to address issues and concerns and at the same time be part of the solutions as well in partnership with the government agencies.
Oh, that is really what PNA is. Representation talaga yung target natin. So sir, kanina I did cite a news clip. This actually came from Philippine Star regarding parang medyo alarming na kasi yung pag-alis ng nurses. Although ever since naman we have really been, of course I don't want to brand it, no, but we have been like labor exporter. We have been
Mhm.
a big market for labor exporter in terms of healthcare, not just our nurses, even for our midwives, but most particularly with nurses, we are one of the biggest exporter of nurses. And in irony, we are also lacking. We are
Mhm.
also lacking the in terms of healthcare force, in terms of labor. So, do you agree in saying that we do not have a scarcity of nurses, rather we have an imbalance of unemployment and underemployment of nurses?
Actually, with the data pertaining to the supply and demand, I think you have mentioned about it, that we have the supply of 617,898, that's according to the Department of Health. However, with the supply and demand, 172,898 are working in the common healthcare facilities for the public and the government institutions. So with this concern, the Department of Health already mentioned that we have already the demand for the 301,944. And with the supply, we have 617,898. So there is a variance of 303,724. From this 303,724, out of which we mentioned is the 172,589 are those have been identified in private and public healthcare facilities. And with the number, there are numbers such as 124,999 wherein the health for human resource for nurses with unspecified practice. So we have tracked them accordingly that they are not formally working in those mentioned healthcare facilities. And most of the number of the 617,898 is 316,405 that are considered for the migrant health workers.
All right. Well, parang ano na, so it's more of parang some of our nurses are going for underemployment. I guess in different industries. So we can find our nurses in BPOs or some other applied sciences, but they're not really practicing bedside care for our patients.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, the orientation of the practice of nursing here in the Philippines are mainly more on the perspective of a facility such as health
Mm-mm.
center, hospital. But when it comes to the BPO, wherein it also considered the skills of our nurses, it is not yet considered as and embraced as well, where nurses can work. So hindi pa siya dun sa particular setup na yun since here in the Philippines, yun nga, we have considered actually the perspective that nurses are working in most of the healthcare institutions such as hospitals.
Ayun. So, based on your data, sir, does that also include those nurses who have opted to stay in the academe?
Ah, yes. So it's not yet included there. So actually, the data that I have also mentioned is in particular, it includes the 652 who are in the other field of practice. They are in the administrative level, but it is not counted
Mm.
yet those who are practicing in nursing education or in the academy.
This is very alarming since as I've mentioned from the news article a while ago, when COVID-19 did struck the Philippines way back 2020, yung kasagsagan talaga ng COVID. So medyo nahirapan ng healthcare system natin to really to really adapt and to provide the necessary care to accommodate all these patients. And most of our hospitals, I mean, some smaller hospitals even had to close down
Yes.
because of that. Kasi nagkaroon ng mga migrations and we had these facilities pero walang tatao sa kanila.
Mhm.
And yet, with that happening alone in the Philippines, ang dami pa ring umaalis. So, what is
Mhm.
your take on nurses leaving the country, sir?
Actually, as Eben mentioned, with our present law, it only considered the established provisions on the salary grade 15 for government healthcare facility nurses. So it is not included there when it comes to the range of salary for the private sector. So that's why those that had been considered na left out when it comes to these provisions must have a strong provisions to this upcoming comprehensive nursing bill of 2022, which is already submitted to the Congress. It was submitted in the 18th Congress, but it did not pursue. For this 19th Congress, it will pursue to basically consider the attention po for the salary that will align. We are pushing the salary grade 15 that will be aligned also for the private sector. And gearing towards this option, since it is not yet established because we have contractualizations, we have job
Mm-hmm.
orders, contract of
Correct.
service. So this is really concerned with the security of tenure. So that's why most of the nurses from the private sector, I either number one, they will lead to the application to the open plantillas of the government healthcare institution. Number two is they will consider application directly for deployment abroad.
Yes, correct. And parang sa nakikita ko, sir, there's really minimal ways on how we can stop this from happening, 'di ba? Parang
Yeah.
talagang dun talaga it's really happening. I mean, it's been decades naman talaga that this is happening already. However, you touched base on the salary of the nurses. So, what would be putting PNA in the picture, no? Kasi PNA is the official, if I might say,
Mhm.
is the official association of nurses. So ito talaga yung pinaka backbone mo once you leave
Mhm.
your classroom na, once you start working. So siya na talaga yung susuporta sa'yo, siya yung parang pinaka nanay mo. So what would be the advocacy of PNA then with regard to increasing the salary
Mhm.
of nurses in the Philippines? Because even for public hospitals, the salary grade 15 is not fully implemented for the whole Philippines, more so with the private hospitals. So what would be the role of PNA? Because PNA would direct this regardless of your
Mhm.
employment, whether it's a public or private hospital, you're still part of PNA, diba?
Yes. So actually, when it comes to the salary grade 15, you are very right. It is not well implemented across the regions because of the concerns when it comes to the funding of the local government units, and at the same time to the concern of the Mandanas ruling. So in the Mandanas ruling, the problem is the allocation of funding. Bumababa yung percentage of allocation for the salary of nurses. So that's why if you will notice, nagbabari yung salary of nurses in some areas or localities. So yun yung battle cry of our nurses, why we have already indicated in the law but still not following specifically yung provisions of the supposedly 32,205. So the role of the Philippine Nurses
Correct.
Association po, ma'am, is to really lobby these concerns to the national agencies wherein they could be the answer or the solution to these concerns. Number one is the PNA could be has been invited by the Professional Regulatory Board of Nursing to be one of the technical working group of this comprehensive nursing bill. So in that, so our representation po will gear towards really on the assurance of considering primarily the salary and compensations and even benefits of our nurses. So on this concerns is also we are gearing towards also on the agenda with the DILG to have the
Mm-mm.
representation of nurses na maging member ng mga health boards. Ang representation kasi ma'am ng health boards is through the DILG kasi ito ay hawak ng provincial health boards, municipal health boards, and city health boards. These are policy making bodies. So that's why kung may representative tayo na member ng mga nurses doon, it can already cascade yung empowerment of our nurses para ma-resolve na agad yung problema kasi we are spread throughout the country and we can already address yung problem and we can already provide solutions through regions. So that is the empowerment. So hindi na yan magre-reach sa national level, but it could be managed sa regional level if it could be represented by nurses as members of the health boards. So these are the things that we are considering for the Philippine Nurses Association as the accredited professional organization to take part on this salaries and compensation of our nurses.
Ayun, and I'm looking forward to that. Ayan, syempre, nurse din ako. So I'm happy to know that PNA is also directed towards those legal aspects in terms of nursing, and at least we do have a say. It is clear that we do have a say, being the official association of nurses in the Philippines. At least we are lobbying and we do have a say with regard to salaries. Ngayon, meron po tayong mga comments ah, sa ating offline. Medyo mainit kasi yung topic ng salary kasi parang ang tagal ng pinaglalaban. So, one comment here is some nurses are underpaid, especially those who work at private hospitals. So, more on private hospitals po ito. How
Yes.
will those be addressed
Yeah.
kapag sa
Actually po,
private?
yes, ma'am. Actually po, ma'am, for the private sector, it's with the Department of Labor and Employment. So, what will be the role of the PNA? So, the role of the PNA is we continuously have a strong partnership with DOLE to basically attend to these concerns. We have already signed just recently a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Labor and Employment to
Wow!
really consider na po the involvement wherein yung point of how we will have specific solutions already. Kasi
Correct.
when we involve the Philippine Nurses Association, kasama na dapat kami dun sa pag-draft ng implementing rules and regulation. So that
Correct.
possibly meron tayong kino-consider na, for example, ma'am, if there are some localities or if there are some concerns na hindi nasusunod yung standard salary or hindi ini-institutionalize yung salary even though for the provision of salary grade 15, possibly through the involvement of PNA, we could be a member of the grievance committee, which
Correct.
will definitely monitor these concerns and complaints na nakakarating sa appropriate agencies.
Yes, in cooperation with DOLE. Nako sir, napakagandang po niyan, napakagandang step po niyan sa kung magkakaroon tayo ng mga ganyang avenue, 'di ba? Na kung saan pwede nilang ilahad yung kanilang mga saloobin. Kasi considering pa na we are renowned globally kasi ang mga Filipino nurses talaga, aside from the care, iba po talaga eh. Iba yung atake ng mga Filipino nurses. So talagang if you can hear the appreciation of foreign individuals to Filipino nurses, talagang nakakaiyak, talagang heartfelt siya. So dito pa ba sa Pilipinas, 'di ba? Bakit hindi natin maibigay 'yon sa kanila? So ayun, talagang medyo dun nagkakaroon ng siguro for some nurses then that I've been talking with, even with my colleagues, no, marami ring nagsasabi na if only they will be having a decent salary and yung talagang livable, they wouldn't choose to leave the country. Yung mga iba nga kahit na yung maging sapat lang sana. And yun yung mga pinupunterian nila. So it's really nice to know that PNA is working on that. I hope within your term makita natin yan.
Yeah, we are looking forward kasi we are really gearing towards the 19th Congress na mai-push na talaga ito at mag-materialize ito to our congressmen and senators. Please support us with our comprehensive nursing bill. So this will solve basically those concerns po. And with the cooperation of and partnership with the PR Board of Nursing and other concerned agencies. So this could be this could be our voice, and at the same time this could be feasible and possible if it is with a clear direction that we can have. Sabi nga natin ma'am, 'di ba, yung salary grade 15 we have it for the government. So once we
Yes, that's
align it
entry
with
level.
the entry level. So once we align
Yes.
it the same for the entry level sa private sector, doon na tayo sabay-sabay mag-move forward kung paano na siya maitataas from the succeeding level of nurse 2, nurse 3, and so on and so forth. Just like what happened with the salary grade 15. So this could be one of the direction.
Correct, sir. And then, moving forward, no, let me just sip in this one more question before we go for our
Mm.
commercial break. So, um, in terms of cross-training din, kasi napag-uusapan natin salary between nurses at hindi rin naman natin sila mapipigilan na lumabas ng bansa because of very obvious reasons. Talagang kapag kinumpara talaga natin ang salary, it's times 5, times 3
Yes.
yung pinaka-minimal, di ba? Sa natatanggap nila dito. So, we're not gearing towards that, but if there are ways that we can retain our nurses, how about having or creating a cross-training program for Filipino nurses na nakita niyo po ba yon na na possibility? For example, a nurse who is employed here could cross-train and work abroad and then come back to the Philippines with those training na receive nila and then work for the Philippines in pagkatapos nung training. How about for those kinds of programs po? Meron po ba tayong mga ganong suggestion sa ating mga congressman?
Yeah, actually that could be possible kasi it's really relevant to professional development eh. It's a matter of ang nurse naman if it will be involved in this project. So magkakaroon naman sila ng undertaking that they will really be back to the country and echo and definitely share what they have learned from the
Yes.
cross training. So it will also consider yung ating mga nurses to be productive as well. So on the
Correct.
perspective naman ma'am na considering itong cross training na ito, it will also motivate our nurses to be more flexible kasi once they learn and they will share it to us here in the Philippines, it will also promote advancement in our practice and the profession as well. So it will challenge also our institutions to have also advancement when it comes to facilities and equipments because we are fully equipped when it comes to the skills. So
Yes.
why not
Tama.
have it funded? So mag-benefit ang healthcare system of the country if we will try also to invest in nursing and in our nurses.
Tama, kasi what we currently have is cross training between hospitals. So, for example, in the hospital where I'm currently employed at, we send nurses or individuals to train for NKTI or to train for cardio at PGH. So we have that also, and they do have a return of service. So nakatali din sila sa hospital. So how about for these nurses, for example, kung talagang nangangailangan or they really want to advance their career, we could also offer them to go and then come back. Di ba po? Oo,
Exactly.
sana isa rin yan
Kasi it will be funded eh, di ba? So if it will be funded, meron talaga silang return of service. Just similar, ma'am. That's why one of the objectives of the government is to lift the moratorium for the nursing program. So to expand more offerings to the state universities and colleges. So for example, ma'am, if we will increase the enrollment for nursing, that could be an added nursing workforce in the future. But the return of service must be considered by the institution simply because they are scholars. So the return of service could be one also a solution to serve when it comes to the augmentation of the workforce that we really need when it comes to the standard ratio of patient to nurse workforce.
Correct. And at least we do not lose our nurses. No pa? Ayan. So, I'm looking forward to that. But before we go on with our interview, medyo talagang ang dami pumapasok na comments, no? Ayan. So, before we continue with our interview, to all our audience, hold on lang po kayo for a very short commercial break of the Frontline. And we'll see you later.
Juan Lu and his puppets face to face. With special guests, Makata Tawanan, Jess Box, and the Lunaria Marionette Show.
Alam mo, Nico, kung wala ako, hindi ka magsasalita. Alam mo, Tito Anlo, kung wala ako, nagsasalita ka nag-isa. Kung wala ako, wala kang masusuot. Kung wala ako, wala kang nakakain.
October 30, Sunday, 7 p.m. at the La Verdad Auditorium in Apalit, Pampanga. Buy your tickets now and see you soon, face to face.
The new channel is an online alternative new media platform of online shows for people on the go. Please watch all our shows as seen on screen. Imagine having your own show, your own playlist, your own content, but we make it easier for you. TNC aims to transform the lives of our viewers through engaging, authentic, and original content. Our channel is a responsible global Filipino 24/7 platform that showcases Filipino talent, global influencers, cultural intelligence, and ingenuity. Of course, catch the Frontline every second and fourth Saturday of the month at 5:30 p.m. You can watch live or on replay via Facebook or YouTube. Follow us on IG and listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just search hashtag TNC Now. For sponsorships, please email now at thenewchannel.com or send us a direct message and enjoy this life-changing shows because we made them for you. Ayun po. And of course, welcome back to the Frontline. With us this afternoon is, of course, the president of the Philippine Nurses Association and the dean of MCU. We have Sir Melvin Miranda. Ayun, sir. Welcome back. Ayan, at tuloy ang tanungan. Parang mainit sa salary part, no?
Yes, yeah. I saw the comments.
Oo, parang marami pa. Siguro later on we will go back to that. But we still have a few questions directed to PNA. So you mentioned a while ago about, or even in your corporate video, there is this national and local representation through PNA. So how do you plan to suggest representation of nurses across the agencies of the national government?
Okay. So, aside from the membership of the Philippine Nurses Association in the International Council of Nurses, wherein in the International Council of Nurses, we have 130 national nursing association across the countries are members. So when it comes to the representation of nurses and PNA, as what I have mentioned, I even reiterated this to the government, even the Department of Health and other agencies on health, that nurses must be represented accordingly with technical working groups, with the policy-making bodies, such as what I have mentioned on the DILG of our appeal and position to be in the health boards. So I think these are opportunities for nurses to really voice out and consider that nurses are empowered. So listen to us because we are at the forefront of the universal healthcare. So this representation will also gear towards on how we will attend to the needs or the healthcare needs of the country, because we are in partner, as what we have mentioned, to our government. Whoever leads the administration, the Philippine Nurses Association is considered as the arm when it comes to how we attend to the welfare of our nurses. And that includes these issues and concerns that are geared towards the national, local, and even in the international arena.
All right. So you also have mentioned if there will be problems emerging from practice, no, sir. So
Yes.
in line with empowering nurses up to the local level. So what legal assistance could they have? I know you're getting towards partnering with the with DOLE in terms of
Mhm,
labor practices, but
mhm,
yung mga we cannot avoid the fact that there will be incidents
mhm,
during practice. So what legal assistance could PNA provide for nurses? Also, together with the issue of yung mga umaalis din. So,
mhm,
we have two sectors, yung mga nagsistay dito,
mhm.
practicing nurses. What will be the legal assistance that PNA could provide for nurses? And then for those nurses who are leaving the country also, for our OFW nurses, what will be the legal assistance that PNA can provide to support our nurses?
Actually, for those who are leaving the country, we are geared towards, as what I have mentioned, we do have already the memorandum of understanding with the Department of Labor and armed with the other agencies such as OWA, POEA. So
Mhm.
whenever there are concerns of our OFWs who are working abroad, and the labor attaches are also spread throughout these countries, our coordination with the POEA is very strong when it comes to immediate attention, and our agility speaks for itself on how we attend to our nurses with their complaints. So that's why even in the recent concerns that we have attended, so we have attended to some nurses who have been hold to leave the country. So
Mhm.
they have been assisted by the POEA because of the deployment ban, if you can remember those.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, deployment cap. So we have attended to that when it comes to the POEA. And on the legal assistance, ma'am, we are gearing towards to be a member of the Bureau of Labor Relations of the DOLE, so that we could be
Mhm.
represented and access to the benefits of the DOLE when it comes to the legal assistance. Actually, the PNA has the legal assistance that are being offered as benefits of our members. However, just recently we have the chair of the Commission on Human Rights. We are
Mm.
gearing towards partnership with the Commission on Human Rights because they are providing free legal assistance. So the partnership with
Correct,
the
oo, tama.
PNA, the partnership with the PNA and the Commission on Human Rights, I think can attend to this level kasi ang Commission on Human Rights may have also regional offices eh. So that's why for those nurses who may have legal assistance, they can approach us in the Philippine Nurses Association, and basically this may consider the our response if we have the chapter officers and the
Mhm.
board of governors in these regions, and they will be assisted through the office of the Commission on Human Rights. So aside from our strong partnership with the local government units, I think that's another one that we are considering. That's why we do our health boards as to for the nurses to be represented, kasi that is one that can be also be considered as for the legal assistance.
Yes, correct. Kasi we also have incidents, or there are questions, no? Some nurses are very resilient by nature. It's
Yes.
one of the it's one of the hallmark talagang ugali or attitude of nurses. But then there are some instances kasi that they question
Mm-mm.
particularly salary, mga ganyan,
Yeah.
yung mga benefits, tama ba? Or there are incidents at work na hindi natin maa-avoid. It really happens while you're in practice. So, mahirap din kasi kuminsan i-explain sa
Mm-mm.
ating mga lawyers if they are not medically inclined. Kunwari pag sinabi mo, ay na-toxic kasi ako kaya hindi ko na napansin. So parang sa ibang banda ng sector, they do not understand that. So it would be really nice if there will be an assistance coming from magkakaroon talaga ng nurse lawyers na
Yes.
na
Actually,
magtatanggol sa mga nurses.
Actually, ma'am, we have identified nurse lawyers in the country. So we
Mhm.
are tapping them. We are tapping them to have a network who are from the Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, so that we could cascade the schedule. Kasi ano naman tayo, with the use of the digital technology and the access in the social media. So I think the nurse lawyers with their commitment to the Philippine Nurses Association, they could just inform us, and we could provide a network on how we could how we can consider this as a strong service for our nurses on legal perspective.
Yes, correct. Kasi I was, something just flashed. Naalala ko yung, there was this really, parang medyo nag-trending siyang issue way back nung pandemic talaga na yung mother nila hindi talaga nakakuha nung supposedly hazard pay
Mhm,
for
mhm.
for COVID. So nag-trending talaga yon. So parang etong mga anak niya didn't know where to go or kung saan sila pwedeng humingi ng assistance. So it was just all over social media during that time. So if we can provide mga ganong assistance, 'di ba, to some of our nurses and to some of yung mga family members ng
Yes, ma'am.
ng ating mga healthcare workers. That
Yes,
would
ma'am.
be really great. Ayan.
Yes, yes.
And okay, so at least we also have that. You have that under your umbrella as one of your projects. Parang ang busy ng year ni Sir.
Yes.
And ayun. So that goes for the support system of PNA. And of course, eto fast ano lang, like if I will be, so we had uh parang 6,000, 9,000 graduates recently
Mhm, mhm.
sa ating nurses. We had those graduates. Ngayon, not most of them are employed, but uh, I heard that they all newly graduate nurses are supposed to be a member of PNA. Parang ganun po yata. So dapat talagang maging member ng PNA. So in our association, what is in store ba talaga for all its members, and what are we heading towards, and what benefits do members get from PMA just for being a member?
Yes. Actually, I always emphasize this the Philippine Nurses Association, it's not me as the national president and the officers. It's definitely the members that will really empower and represent the Philippine Nurses Association. As pertaining to the benefits, ma'am, aside from the legal assistance, aside from the access from our research journal, which for those nurses who are empowered when it comes to dissemination of research findings, we do have our official Philippine Journal of Nursing, which is Scopus Index and internationally acclaimed for Hall of Fame. So I think those are the benefits that we can consider. Sa third also, if there are nurses who are eligible for sickness, we have mutual aid assistance that we are offering to our members. So that's why, yes, they just need to process the
Mhm.
certain requirements, and they will receive basically the mutual aid assistance as part of the
From
benefits.
PNA.
Yes, yes.
Wow. So meron palang gano'n. At least now, I think this is very beneficial to all the nurses who are listening this afternoon. At least nalalaman natin. And the information can really be passed on of how PNA really, helps nurses around the world or within the Philippines. Ayun. So meron pala tayong mga ganong programs.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
ano-ano pa po yung mga programs and projects natin currently under PNA?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, we have for professional development, we are offering free for members webinars and trainings with corresponding continuing professional education units. So these are for free. So these are the consideration on the professional developments and initiatives of our department of the CPD. Other than that, we are gearing towards now with the partnership with the Philippine Red Cross, so that
Okay.
our nurses will also benefit from the services and discounts from the Philippine Red Cross in terms of blood, in terms of the network that we can access for the Philippine Red Cross. So we are due for the signing of the memorandum of understanding or renewal with the Philippine Red Cross. So through these partnerships with the networks, I think we are expanding on the benefits of how nurses can benefit in the organization, as well as since PNA is a member of International Council of Nurses, those who are working or employed abroad. Since
Mhm.
PNA is a member of ICN, there is a corresponding National Nursing Association in these countries, so they can
Okay.
basically have the services as well because they are under the umbrella of ICN. So those are the networks that can reach not that far, not just only for the local and national, but also in the international.
So, currently, sir, kung kailangan nila ng assistance, if these nurses are looking for assistance or activities that they can join to, I understand, how many chapters do we currently have now in the Philippines?
Yes, ma'am. For the local, we do have 90. Actually, in the video, it's 90, but we do have already 97, and we
Okay.
do have now 15 foreign chapters. So the reach, basically, from these countries as well, is very advantageous because we have in place nursing leaders who can attend to the welfare of our nurses, so they may have the confidence that there is an organization that can reach actually to mediate them or to cascade their issues to the appropriate agencies as well. So one of our mandate is, as for the welfare, we're also after the protection of rights of our nurses as well.
Okay, sir. Noted on that. And I understand we do have a couple of pictures that were sent to
Mm-hmm.
the frontline regarding yung mga activities. If
Yes.
a flash po namin sila on screen, so we have pictures of events
Yes.
that TNA has. Ayan, or yung mga nangyari na din. So we have this 100 years, PNA 100 years.
Yes. Philippine Nurses Association was established September 2, 1922. So this coming September 2, or this year actually, we're celebrating our 100 years of foundation anniversary.
Ayan. And I believe medyo bigatin ba yung mga speakers natin diyan sa event na
Yes,
yan?
yes, ma'am. Just recently, actually, yes, last night. Actually, last night, the Office of the President already confirmed his participation as our keynote speaker. So our keynote speaker is President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Actually, historical because during the 50th anniversary of the PNA, our keynote speaker is his father. So
Ay,
we have indicated in our communication that it could be remarkable and historical if he will participate as our centennial keynote speaker. So I think that really added on the perspective of his confirmation, hoping because of the historical perspective that we could record on.
that's really nice to hear, and sana nga magkaroon ng mga bago at mas naakma ngayong panahon na programa ang ating presidente in terms of healthcare. Ano po? And this is Zona Libre.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, various invitation of the media networks for us to have the venue and the platform to address our reactions, our positions pertaining to some issues. Actually, we are very thankful to the media. So as with your channel and with your TNC, because media have contributed a lot on how we really raise and address our voice to the government. And every time that we have an interview, the next day we are receiving invitations from appropriate government agencies. And I think you are really bridging us to solutions immediately because it reached widely when it comes to its range to the social media nowadays. And we are very thankful.
Yes, that's correct. Actually, the TNC alone does have at least 1,133, more or less. And of course, it still differs with the views per show. So it really has a wide reach, and it's a global platform. So we're really looking forward towards that. Okay, so
Yeah.
there are more events being flashed on screen.
Mhm.
Also, so ano po ba yung dapat naming i-expect from a Mr. Melvin Miranda with his term with PNA? What would be there na kailangan naming antayin? Ano ba yung message mo sa amin, sa aming lahat na nurses, you being the president of PNA?
Thank you very much. As what I have mentioned, PNA uh, is really considering not me as the national president, but the Filipino
Mm.
nurses that represents universal healthcare. So that's why every Filipino nurses by heart and by mind, you are very important to us. So that's why we have recognized your participation as well as one of the forefront and key players in every endeavors of our concern related to the health sector. And considering the Filipino nurses in the country and in around the world, we're considering our participation and our significant contribution not just only locally but also in other aspects such as nursing education, nursing practice, and in the public health. This could be also a way or a platform that can be used upon to call also the attention of our nurse educators, because we are lacking also nursing faculty in most of the nursing schools. The nursing educators are the key to really hone the competent and skilled nurses and to meet the program outcomes. So I think this is the other area that we really need to attend to in the nursing education. And PNA as accredited professional organization may not just only the organization that can really address and voice these concerns, but also the other specialty organizations and interest groups whose our common endeavors and goals are for the Filipino nurses.
Ayun po. Maraming salamat, Sir Melvin Miranda, for giving us the opportunity to interview you today. We really appreciate your time and effort for being here. And you have any other last messages or shout out sa ating mga audience?
Okay, so since this coming September 1 and 2, we are inviting all of you to our PNA 100 and beyond. Inspired by a caring legacy, transformed to lead as our theme of the PNA celebration of our scientific session. And we will have also October 18, 19, and 20 via virtual platform for our House of Delegates Assembly, for our election, General Assembly, research fora, and we do also have webinars that it is stored. That is related naman for the 65th Nurses Week celebration in relation to the proclamation number 594 of the celebration of the Nurses Week celebration, wherein it indicated there that the Philippine Nurses Association will be in charge of every celebration. So again, for the Filipino nurses, let us hold on. Let us be strong in our voices, because PNA cannot do this alone. With your support from our 10+1 priority agenda, so we will definitely push on this 10+1 priority agenda, including the enactment of the comprehensive nursing bill. So please support us and be united, Filipino nurses.
Ayun po, maraming salamat, Sir Melvin Miranda, sa inyong oras, sa inyong panahon, and for being our guest here on the Frontline for TNC. It was really a great afternoon indeed. And of course, generally, while healthcare workers have been hailed as heroes in the recent pandemic, honor without just wages, adequate staffing, and livable conditions will not sustain the responses to COVID-19 or to any other healthcare problems that might arise in the future. Given this, governments, policymakers, and healthcare institutions must ever be cognizant of the rights and the needs of nurses and other healthcare workers. If this, ladies and gentlemen, to all our viewers, are not addressed, the healthcare workers, as exemplified by the resignation of Filipino nurses, may leave the profession and, of course, our institutions to seek better opportunities and work abroad, and the rights where of course the rights are upheld. In any case, the Philippines is at the losing end. Overall, the resignation and migration of Filipino nurses amidst the pandemic may not only be an issue related to health and well-being, but also rights and justice. Nonetheless, this must be addressed. And of course, I thank you all for watching The Frontline. We'll see you again next September for another episode of The Frontline. Thank you.